We're going to call the meeting to order at 6:04. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to give Rory a minute to make sure she has everybody. Some people might need to identify themselves. But just hold on 1 second. We'll have Rory ask as she goes through it.
I'm not even sending to the meeting. It's you guys are.
Yeah, I have this right here.
I'm gonna sign it anyway. I'll just read it.
I have to mute it and turn your volume down as well.
I have 2 iPhones in there that are not.
We have iPhone 235. Could you please identify yourself for Rory?
I believe that's me. My name is Jamal Cunningham.
Thank you,
Jan
Jamal.
Wyman.
Hold on, Jan.
The other are just regular iPhone.
Good, Jan. Okay. All right, so those are the 2.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
And you have everybody in the audience here?
I don't know everybody.
Why don't we go through and state our names, starting here, and then we'll just work our way around.
Sure. I'm Ron Boslin. I live in Westminster, but our granddaughter goes to school here.
James Lawler. I live in Windham.
Bridget Blanchard.
Ada.
Bridget Corby.
Betsy Huffman. Crystal Corbia.
Emily Goyette.
Sue Curry. Aaron Kehoe.
That's everybody?
Yep.
Yeah, got it. Great. Let's start with,
Can I start?
yeah, I just want to make a deletion about the pay orders.
Okay. Just want to announce that Beth has notified the board and myself that she will be resigning from her position on the board effective the end of this meeting today. So I want to take the opportunity, and I've only been here a brief time, of saying thank you to Beth. I know she's been involved with the school for a really, really long time, and is incredibly passionate about what has happened here. And obviously, I just want to say thank you to Beth for those many, many years of service to the students and the families at Windham.
Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you, Beth.
Thanks a lot, Beth.
Thank you.
Thanks, Beth. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you, Beth.
Okay,
Thank you, Beth.
thank you. Do we want to do additions and deletions? Just real quick, the pay orders will not be part of this meeting. Had a couple of busy weeks, farm camp included. We have a new person at the WCSU, so there's been some just a learning curve there. So I will make sure that's taken care of with Rory and Abby. Are there any other additions and deletions? Okay, hearing none, you want to go on to public comment. We have a public comment period. We're going to limit it to 1 minute per person. Please raise your hand. If you're on Zoom, we're trying to watch. If anybody sees something, please feel free to holler.
I'll try to pay attention to it.
Have Abby's hand up.
Abby.
Thank you. I just wanted to share with the community some information from the Vermont School Board Association and what they offer as far as there's tons of information that you can have. So what does it take to be a school board member? And
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh,
I muted him. We're good.
go ahead, Abby.
Can you add me by mistake?
So,
Oh,
she's
yeah,
The
she's
Zoom meeting
muted.
is lagging on my end.
Okay.
Abby's muted.
Oh, it's not lagging anymore.
Abby, can you hear us?
Did you add me? Is she showing you? No, she doesn't.
Go ahead to somebody else. I think I'm having some audio trouble.
Okay, anybody else, for public comment? Okay, hearing none and not seeing any other hands, we're gonna move on to correspondence. We have received, many letters, one starting, I'm going chronologically here, just to be fair, okay? July 6th from James Lawler, July 13th from Emily Forbes, July 13th from Bridget Blanchard, July 15th from Bridget Corby, July 16th from Nora Kehoe, July 14th from Crystal Corvu, July 16th from Nora Kehoe.
the parents.
I'm sorry, you have here, I'm sorry, it's just written, I'm very sorry for Erin Kehoe. It's the title, and that's what I read. My apologies. Some of you have requested that these be read out loud, and if that is what you want to do, we can do that. James Lawler, you asked for yours to be read out loud, or did you want to summarize?
Yeah, you can summarize it.
This is wanting to address the school board regarding the last school board meeting and some issues that were voiced in open order. This was about hiring a potential candidate that the superintendent did not offer the position to, and that there was questions surrounding that. People felt that we needed to listen to the superintendent. The volatile atmosphere surrounding Windham Elementary School. There's repetitive petitions and calls to close Windham. I recommend that the WS School Board listen to the townspeople of Windham who overwhelmingly voted for the school when they passed the budget. Stop giving the anti-school people the time of day and don't even accept any petitions to close the school. Regarding non-board members demanding time to correct the minutes or any other issues solely of the board's jurisdiction, just say no. This is gonna be included in the minutes. I've sent it to Rory. Everybody's letter is gonna be, well, I think except partially for one, but anyway, is gonna be sent to Rory to include in the BCTV recording. At the end of the day, the majority of voters support the school. The school is amazing, and while I was sad to see Mr. PJ leave, Mr. PJ wasn't the school. Miss Sally was an amazing educator at Windham Elementary School, and it survived after she left. It will survive now. The glue that holds Windham WS together is the school board, and while a few have gone above and beyond to burn it down, make it miserable, and bullied when they didn't get their way, they are not the voices that pass the budget and support our kids, school, and town. Set boundaries. The other letter, I think the only one was from Emily Forbes, to be read out loud. I will read a portion of it. I will not read all of it. I'll get to that point. We are writing to ask for our student to be paid tuition to the Mountain School in Wynn Hall. We as parents needed to know before now what education for our son will look like, not left waiting in hopes that positions will be filled, grasping at straws at the bottom of the barrel. I know you're working hard on it, but it's too late now. We don't think that hustling at the last minute to keep the school open when there are ready-to-go schools around us where our kids receive a great education is really the best option. The best option is to operate next year, taking, I guess I'm assuming the following year, taking the time to seek our best possible staff versus who's now available, leaving appropriate time to get things together properly instead of pushing things through. Bob said at his first meeting that more than likely everyone worth having already has a contract. But it seems as though your minds were made up before the meeting even started in desperation to fill the position. If hiring was happening 2 months ago, this would be a different conversation. But quite frankly, it's too close to the wire now and my family needs time to make arrangements. Besides the hiring, there are big problems at this school that will need to be addressed because by no means are things fine. There's no protocol of support staff to handle behavioral issues. There's very limited counseling this year and the kids will need it more to be able to adequately cope with all the unknown. There's no art in place this year and the tiny school is still a big concern of ours. Our student will be the only student, I'm not gonna say. I'm limited by, obviously it's a small town, small school this year and we worry about the social development and social aspects of just 17 kids in the entire school, not to mention that we, the parents, do not feel heard with our concerns. I was shocked at last night's special meeting with Bridget Corby, a previous faculty member, let out her firsthand experience concerns and they were completely dismissed. In addition, and this is where I'm not going to repeat this because this would be a complete and utter violation of the HIPAA Act. You were talking about an employee of the school system and sharing his medical information. I don't know how you got that, and I can tell you right now it is severely inaccurate, and I think he deserved a lot better than that.
Amen.
And I'm referring to the bus driver, who you all know. So that was pretty lowbrow in my opinion.
No, that was not.
We have, no, I'm gonna keep going on.
She's talking.
Yep, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
she
read your
does.
letter, but I
And
can't
if
legally, I can't say what you wrote in there. It's a complete and utter violation of HIPAA. Do you understand that?
The next person
have
that
the
speaks out
highest-
of line as a constable, I will ask you to leave.
You have no authority.
I absolutely do.
I will call the.
Let's go.
All right,
You leave right
no,
now.
No, I'm not.
No.
You
Let's go.
have
No.
no authority.
I absolutely have the
Call the
phone
cops
of the
then.
sheriff.
You
can leave.
No, you can call the cops.
I'm gonna keep, Jim, don't, I'm gonna
That's
keep
not
reading the
happening.
letter.
Oh,
I
absolutely
would
it is.
highly suggest you don't put your hands on it.
We have the highest tax rate in the state
I don't
and yet
give a
struggle.
crap.
Crystal, I'm gonna keep reading. If you wanna keep talking, you can leave the room. We have the highest tax rate in the state and yet struggle to have what all the surrounding schools have, relying on grants and help from volunteers that we have exhausted. We think this school needs an overhaul in many areas and the time to do it successfully to offer stable education. It is not fair to our Windham kids with just 6 weeks until the start of school with so much to do and just one staff member. We feel that it is not possible to scrape things together in no time to offer an equitable education. We want this school because our whole life is that, oh, you want that school, right, is that direction, and it is our normal travel. We work there and we have no reason to ever go to Jamaica Townsend or Newfane. It would be a hardship to our family to travel that far out of the way. Respectfully, Emily and Kyle Goyette. Can I just real quick, just so we're really sure, because this is, except for the part about the employee, just to negate any rumors, because I think I've been really clear on please don't spread false information. It's not right, it's not fair. It's my understanding that all employees, especially school bus drivers, go through a rigorous check to be able to do their job. Am I mistaken in that?
The licensing is pretty rigorous, but I would say in general that anything regarding personnel cannot be talked about in open session.
So there we go. That's read. I don't believe anybody else. Am I mistaken? Did somebody else want me? Did you want me to read yours?
Please do so.
Dear Windham School Board, I am writing this letter today requesting my children be paid tuition out to Mountain School at Windhall. Here are a few reasons why. Windham Elementary does not have sufficient staff hired for the upcoming school year. This is a great concern of mine. We cannot expect our children to be taught by substitute teachers who do not possess any accredited educational background. There were a few times last year when Windham couldn't find any subs because they were in short supply. Windham Elementary does not offer placement for advanced students throughout this year. Child got all work done by Wednesday, leaving 2 days of free time. I had talked with Mickey about what Child could do when she completed work. Sorry, this
You
is
can
really
say her
tough.
name, I don't care.
No, I can't say her name. Gave a short story with questions to answer. While I appreciate him finding more for the child to do, it doesn't fill up 2 days worth of work. Instead of learning more material, they were playing games. Child loves to learn, and I know not all children do. Child comes home from school irritated at classmates for not listening. Windham Elementary needs more support staff in the school. When there is a disciplinary action that needs to take place, there is no protocol. School can't adequately run with 2 teachers, one which serves as principal. This year, the children were left alone frequently because whomever was their teacher at the time had to leave the room and handle the scenario. That's not how it should work. The student should be handed off to the principal and the class should continue on. Instead, from what I've heard, all hell breaks loose when an adult leaves. Ultimately, for our children to succeed, they need a different learning environment with more structure and staff. I know the board is in a difficult situation, but I strongly feel that tuitioning out for 1 year would be the best option. In that time, the best applicants can be hired versus the only applicants. Building and property maintenance can be completed. Maybe some work can be done with the select board to find properties where affordable housing can be made accessible for the so many Vermont families that need homes. For the past couple of years, a lot of talk was happening at board meetings to grow and strengthen the community. However, no plans have been made to attract school-age families into town that I'm aware of. On a more personal note, I am deeply disappointed after attending last night's board meeting via Zoom. Bridget Corby, our own superhero mom, who stepped up to the plate to fulfill the needs of the school, had her questions and concerns completely disregarded. To whom do us parents talk to about issues regarding the school? If the board does not acknowledge these problems exist from firsthand experience, and it ends there. I don't know if it got cut off. Is that?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, those were, anybody else that wanted theirs read?
Beth,
Yes.
could I just summarize mine so that
Sure.
I can keep out, since
Yeah.
there's like kind of personal information. Yeah, and it's like things I've addressed with all of you. Just to summarize it, I also put in a tuition request for the upcoming school year. I just feel that since we don't have enough time to adequately prepare the staff if a staff is hired, it's just not enough time to provide a safe, healthy environment for our kids. And I feel like with the age range of our kids and the amount that we have here, there needs to be enough qualified adults in the building to provide a safe, healthy environment and an equitable education. So that's the general idea of what I said.
Great, thank you. Anybody else?
I don't need mine read into the record, but I did have a letter which I emailed you guys, but
We just got it.
You did get it, okay.
Media started.
You can go ahead and read mine. Since it's known.
Dear Windham School Board, we're asking the board to tuition child to Townsend Elementary School. We feel that this would be in our child's best interest to offer an equitable education that is fully staffed and is prepared for the upcoming school year. Windham is not the right place for said child academically. Child is not often challenged. Now, not knowing what the school year will entail, only weeks away from the beginning of school. This is unfair and unequitable. The offerings and treatment of the school are unknown, and how as a parent can we prepare for that? Child's social and emotional needs are not being met at school, and the school's climate is not conducive to the needs of my child. Child has no other girls to interact with in classroom. As a developing young female student, child is becoming aware of differences in genders. She often has no other peers to socialize with, and often was clinging to the K through second grade teacher. That is not healthy. This would be noted as part of the general policy title 16, chapter 99, like a subsect 2901, titled Success for All Students in the General Education Environment. Please give our child a fair, equitable, and emotional social education by tuitioning her out. Nathan and Erin Kehoe. Anybody else?
A letter from Yes, it's Crystal.
Yeah, I'm asking if people want
Crystal,
them
do you
read.
do you want this read or
You
do you
can
want to
just
read it?
summarize it, you don't have to read it.
Or I mean, you can feel free for you to summarize it if that, I don't wanna,
Yeah, it becomes a little bit subjective when we summarize.
so I'm just gonna read
Pretty
it.
much asking for Jackson to be sent to Townsend with his brother, who was already moved to Townsend Elementary last year. Because there wasn't enough support staff in the school, and Jackson is going to need support staff next year.
Thank you.
That's all I have for correspondence.
So, can you guys hear me okay now?
Yes.
Okay, would you guys mind, since we're done with correspondence, if I kind of talked about what I wasn't able to say before? Is that all right? It'll be a quick read on, this is coming directly from the Vermont School Board Association. Voters in each local district elect their school board to serve as trustees on their behalf, both to assure high quality education and to assure that voters receive an excellent return on investment. School boards create the vision for education, establish policy for the district, hire a superintendent, approve the budget for presentation to voters, and monitor student performance, district operations, and finances. Board members engage the community in their work. Put simply, the board sets the direction, hires competent administrators, and provides oversight to assure high performance and accountability. And it goes on to explain that there's a lot of exciting and challenging times for the 900 public school board members in Vermont. Now, there's a lot of schools are being asked to provide solutions to increasingly difficult problems, many of them driven by the difficult national economy, social problems, and by the trends in reduced student enrollment. At the same time, we have unprecedented opportunity for improvement and educational outcomes. Communities deserve creative, focused, results-oriented board members. The right person makes a difference. What qualities, skills, and experience should you look for in a school board candidate? Here are some questions to consider. Does the candidate understand the school board's role about its big picture, setting the direction for the district and providing oversight and accountability, not day-to-day management? Does the candidate focus on one issue or discuss a broad range of school district concerns? Will the candidate enhance the mix of skills and backgrounds on the board and help represent the diversity of the community? And does the candidate have a commitment to do what's right for citizens and taxpayers, even in the face of opposition? Qualifications for school board membership. A person is to hold the office of a school board member if the individual is under the age of 18, not a resident in the school district in which the individual is seeking office, a resident of an unorganized town, grant or gore, regularly employed by the supervisory union. They serve or by a school district within the supervisory union. The holder of simultaneous position as an auditor, first constable, collector of taxes, town treasurer, town agent, or town manager. A school board member's spouse may not be the town auditor. How does a person become? So that we have the different ways that we can vote and figure out how we can do that. But in our current situation, the board will be appointing someone to replace Beth and the years of dedication she's given to this community. So this is just really important information I wanted to share with everybody as far as the role that the board has in what we are trying to envision and get moving forward with the guidance of the School Board Association. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby.
We were out to respond.
To Abby?
I just have a question. You said that the board is appointing a member.
So that was public comment. So there are no questions on that. You can ask a question of the board that we can put on the agenda if that's what you like, or you can make your own public comment. I think we could allow that since you guys allowed me to shift mine. but it's not a debate thing. So if you got, I'm not sure who was speaking, but if you have a comment that you would like to make, that you can do so.
It's Dan Corby, and I was looking for clarification. Thank you.
There, and you sent something out about, that has been sent out by the superintendent. There are parameters. It's not like the board just appoints somebody. There's a whole, people submitting their interest and then going from there.
I think the board should talk about that, probably at a new business.
Okay.
Maybe have a motion to add that to the agenda perhaps, because there's something you guys will have to consider what that timeline will look like. And I can explain the process at that time.
So we should have done that during additions and deletions. All right, so can I get a motion to add that to new business? Discussing what needs to happen to hire a new board member? I'll make the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Great. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All right, so that's added to new business, Dan. A discussion on becoming a board member.
Thank you.
Yep. Great. Unless there's anything else, we're gonna move on to old business, which is the approval of minutes. This is gonna take a little bit of time. So, do we wanna go one by one, or do we wanna try and get them all done? All right, why don't we just start with one by one? I only really had it, anyway. So we're talking about the minutes. I need a motion to approve the minutes from January 17th, 2023.
A motion to approve.
I'll second it. Any discussion? I had just one question, Abby, which was on the third page, just less than halfway down. Mr. Cumming asked what the budget would be if $70,000 was moved. Miss Garland stated the budget would then be, you just have $206. So I'm just thinking that needs to be corrected.
I see.
And if you need to look into that more, we can do that, and we can hold off on this one and go to the others. Abby, can you hear me?
Oh my goodness, I was muted. Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm okay with amending that and moving forward if that's unless there's other corrections or anything anybody else would like to add.
Do you know what the number should be?
Well, I can find out the number and make the correction. Yeah. So
Okay, so you're gonna, all right. So we'll amend that and, great.
Table that one for now, is what you're saying.
All right, so let's table that one for now then. Next one is January 24th. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from January 24th.
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so that's passed. January 24th is done. Next is February 14th. I looked through them. I don't see anything that stands out, so I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from February 14th.
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so that one passes.
Aye.
Thank you. March 20,
February 20th.
sorry,
March 21st?
I don't have February 28th here.
Oh, aye.
We're gonna skip the 28th. Let's go on to March 21st. I didn't see anything there. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from March 21st.
Sorry.
That's all right, March 21st.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. That one's done. Thank you. Alright, I'm sorry, here's April 11th. I didn't see anything in April 11th that stood out. I'll make a motion to pass the minutes from April 11th. Any discussion?
I second your motion.
Oh, sorry. Thank you for seconding. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. That one's done. And April 18th, those are all fine to me. I'll make a motion to approve April 18th.
Second your motion.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That's done. You don't have, oh, that's next meeting, sorry.
That's 16, May 16th.
Yes, I don't have any notes on May 16th. I'll make a motion to approve May 16th.
Second your motion.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
16 passes. I have May 30th here, but I don't see it on the agenda. So we can just table that with January 17th. Unless we can, no, it's not on there.
Sorry.
That's okay. June 8th, I don't have any notes on June 8th. That was, meeting with the lawyer. I'll make a motion to approve June 8th.
I second your motion.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
So that's June 8th. And then do you have, oh, July, oh, June 20th, it's not on the agenda. So that's gonna have to wait. We do have July 12th meeting, which were just sent out today. I looked them over. I'll make a motion to approve July 12th.
I second your motion.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Great.
Aye.
That needed to be done. Thank you very much.
Somebody will correct the January 17th one for us, and then the May 30 and June 20 will bring back around.
Yep.
Next time, okay.
And 228.
Apologies for that.
There's
That's
three that
okay.
have to come back to.
Yeah, the 17th, 30th, and 20th?
Yep.
Yeah.
And we're not doing papers.
We're not doing pay orders now. Great, thank you Abby and Rory for getting those in. It's been a real lesson on taking minutes. Thankfully we have BCTV here, so that's always a resource for people. So we're gonna try and keep up on those. So now we're going on to new business, which is the update on the hiring. So you wanna take that over?
You're talking to me or Rory?
You.
I'm sorry. I was like, I don't know what she's saying. Yeah, so I would recommend that we have an executive session and talk about an update on that. And then under number 4, I wrote if needed, but it's the having to do with negotiation, contract negotiation. So you would need to have someone move the first statement,
Okay,
vote on that, pass that, and then you need to have someone make a motion to enter executive session, vote on that, pass that.
so I'm reading this first. I make a motion for the board to enter executive session under Title I.
No, sorry.
Sorry,
The first dot under the 4th.
Under 4?
Yeah.
I move to find that premature general public knowledge regarding contract negotiation would put the board at substantial disadvantage because the school board is at risk of negotiation disadvantage if discussed in public. So we're gonna move into executive session.
So you have to vote, you have to accept that finding first as a group. So you have to, someone has to, you're moving that.
All right, I'll second it. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
And then the next part is to make a motion to move into executive
I
session.
make a motion to move into executive session.
I second motion.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, so I'm sorry, everybody's gotta move out of the room. We've moved out of executive session. We're resuming at 7:10.
All right.
So,
Huh?
do you want me to do it? or
No,
you?
I can do it. So after
Okay.
our discussion and executive session, I want to move a motion to have Bob to continue with negotiation with urgency because, we need that. Do I?
I'll second it.
Seconded?
Oh. Abby.
So go ahead, Beth.
That's okay.
All in favor?
Well, any discussion?
Any discussion?
Can we ask questions?
Yeah.
Please?
Yep.
I'll be kind. You're moving forward with urgency.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys create a hard deadline? Because it is urgent and I have very strong feelings that I will not express here for the sake of everyone's emotions about that decision. Urgency was a long time ago. So I hope that point, I don't know if I can make it anymore. So if you're moving forward with urgency, what does that mean?
Bob, can you speak on that and the creation of deadline for this purpose?
Yeah, so I think, we're gonna be talking about this in the new business about the board member resignation, but we probably should be scheduling a special meeting before the next meeting anyways, to deal with that element of it. So I think by the end of today's meeting, we should set a special meeting to do that.
Okay.
It would be probably good, minimally, to have a last minute update, I guess you would say, at that point. Because the correspondence that we received tonight was not warned for action, that needs to be warned for action,
Okay.
and that we can do that at that special meeting as well.
Okay.
So all the information would be there around all of those
Okay.
things.
So at the end of tonight, we'll know what your
We'll
deadline.
set a date
Okay.
for
the next
a special meeting
Gotcha.
prior to the next regularly scheduled board meeting to do those things.
Okay. I'm free Thursday. I'm just throwing it out there. If anyone.
Yeah, we'll look at the dates. I have some stuff coming up next with some leadership team retreats and things happening too soon. So
I'm traveling for work, so I'll be here Zoom most likely if
All right.
that's the case.
I just want to add to the discussion, obviously I won't be here after that, but I just want to clarify with everybody, it was mentioned at the last meeting that we waited. We didn't wait. Our hands were tied as far as when people knew that the staff was leaving. We couldn't post those positions. We were not legally allowed to do that. We had to wait for contracts to be signed, for evaluations, there's other things that we had no control over. It's not like we were all sitting here like not doing anything. We literally could not do anything. And it was frustrating for me too, not to be able to know what to do. Waiting, why is it taking so long? Who's drawn up this contract that it takes this long? But I guess there's all this legalese involved that, there's nothing that the board could have done. So, and it has been, I can't talk about the executive session, but yes, it is very much on our mind that we need to figure something out real quick. Was there anybody else that wanted to?
you have two hands in Zoom land.
Sorry, I don't know who was first. I'm gonna go with Dan Corby.
Dan. Thanks, Beth. My question kind of aligns with Bridget. I know you guys are saying with urgency, but is the board discussing a cutoff point of urgency doesn't matter anymore? Because we're approaching 6 weeks to the start of school. You have 0 staff, 0. It's not an okay situation for my kids. When do you actually decide to make a decision? Because right now your decision is to keep it going, but you have nobody signed up and you're only still talking about one candidate, correct?
Yes, Molly.
For 3 positions, we have one candidate. When's enough, guys? Seriously, when's enough? You want our kids to go to school with seriously no staff? Is that the plan? I understand you're protecting the building. None of us are talking about closing the school. Figure this shit out over the next year. Like, can't we do that? So many families have embraced it. Letters earlier today are talking about how we just need to shut up and take what we're being fed. And that's not the case. There's multiple families that are requesting tuition this year. And we have been the ones that supported the heck out of this school over the last couple of years. We've been there. We've done our part. But now we ask for something in return. And you all just want to shoot us down again. Build the school. Show us what it's supposed to be. I have never once said I want the school closed. I want it to be what you all have promised me. And it isn't that. And it's not even close to it. We're getting farther away from it. This isn't about the school. It's about our damn kids' education, the future of our town, all of that. But you're worried about the building today, not the future of them. Rant's over. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. We have Russ coming.
I just want to reiterate the same thing that Dan said. It seems that the board is focused primarily on the building. They're keeping the building open. That's the only thing that they want to do is keep the building open. They're neglecting the education of the children. If you send them down to Townsend, just as an example, you've got 8 teachers down there and a principal, plus a full staff. And it costs $50,000 less. But yet all the school board members said, well, we can't do that. We have to keep the school open. Well, the compromise is, as Bob Tebow has said, you keep the school open, but during the next year, you tuition the children down to whatever school the parents want them to go to. That's a compromise. The building's not closed. Abby's happy, Beth's happy, whoever it is happy that the school is open, but yet the kids are getting a good education. So why don't you face up and just take the responsibility of saying the children's education is more important than keeping the building open? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Russ. Anybody else? Okay.
Briefly.
Sure.
Yeah, just I want to be in support of the plan, and I know it seems murky, but I sort of just want to voice that the kids can have a great experience here, and it's tough. It's tough with lack of staff, and I see it's murky, but I am in support, and I appreciate you trying to make it happen. Because I've been enormously happy with what's happened for our granddaughter.
Thank you. Yeah,
and for other kids. I mean, I understand there are experiences that are counter to that for families, but I've been in the building a lot, and the vibe has been great, and I am in support of trying, even though it is daunting.
Thank you. Yeah, we certainly didn't expect to be in this situation, that's for sure. I can't see who. Oh, hi, Kathy.
I'd just like to add my voice too, as a citizen, that it seems like there's just not a whole lot of trust. And so maybe people just have to suspend, the willing suspension of disbelief, I guess, is what's being asked for a while longer, to see if, I understand that it's a worry, that it's like a big unknown, that unknowns create a lot of stress. But I think if we can just hang in there for a little while longer, that hopefully this principal negotiation, and I think it's kind of like a domino, once that's in place, other things will fall more easily, and hope that you can get there.
Thank you, Kathy. Anybody else?
Erin.
Oh, Erin.
So I have a numbers question, I guess, to go with this. I guess there's 2 of them. What is the incoming number of students for this year, fiscal year 24?
It's a tougher question to answer than you might think, because the learning, actually in communication with you. In fact, there's some students who are not on the roster, but who would be on the roster. You know what I'm saying? It sounds weird for me to say it that way, but like there's people out there who maybe have removed children for other avenues, but might return given one scenario goes a particular way. So it's really hard for me to answer that directly. But based on what I have, there are 18 on the roster that are not, so pre-K don't count, right? Because they're not physically here. So I have 18, I believe, on the roster with a couple of variabilities. Like, it's just hard to say more without like identifying people. Do you know what I'm saying? Like a hypothetical might be someone who has a parent who lives in a different district. They can send their kids to the homeschool of either
what
parent.
we're saying right now, there's 18 on the roster that with the parents that are able to choose, have choice. Because they live in two districts, or the parents.
Yeah, so that's one scenario. Another scenario is there might be other students who are already placed, either through special education or some other mechanism that I'm not aware of. Just learned of one today. There's potential for homeschool students who might return if you're offering tuition somewhere. You might have parents who are selectively placed somewhere at their own expense who might return if there's a potential for tuition. So like the number is hard to really predict exactly what it is, but I'm using, I say 18 as sort of my number just to try to like put some sense to it.
Okay, so we'll go with 18. And for the correspondence that came out in the last few days, how many students does that represent?
9.
All right, so we have half of the school who's asked to be tuitioned out. So 50% of the school to be tuitioned out, and 50% of the school that has not said anything.
Which
as of right now.
Correct. That's
because we have no information.
Your math is correct. Yes.
Okay.
That's what I have.
I just want to also, make that clear too with those decisions because that's 50%.
Can I comment on that? So while 50% sounds like a lot, what's even more is, and I'm just saying because I don't have personal information for these 9 students that have not submitted, whether they just haven't gotten around to it, they don't want to submit for tuition for whatever reason, but there could be situations where any of those 9 children cannot receive a quality education any other way, meaning if their parent works and can't, transport their child. If the people who are requesting tuition to the mountain school and all these other schools, they're presumably going to be responsible for transporting.
So that's been talked over many school board meetings in my 9 years of attending school board meetings. So no school district needs to offer.
Sorry, Erin, I didn't realize, that's my bad, I'm sorry, you're not done, sorry.
Yeah, so, right, so I understand what you're about to say, but right now we are able to, well, maybe not right this second, but in the past, we're able to offer these children to be able to go to school instead of being homeschooled or instead of having to decrease their hours because their kid needs to be driven to school, which could create a huge hardship. That is my concern.
I understand that hardship too, but I will, counter that for you so we know it's possible. That my child was transported to Townsend Elementary School on the Windham bus because they need to be contracted for the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th and 12th grader for the bus run. So it is possible for the students of Windham to be transported down to Townsend or via Jamaica, whether a different bus route, because that has been done in the past. So we can't just say...
But that's when you get tuition requests that are not in those areas.
And the people that do not want to continue with a public school within the school district, they understand that.
Okay.
Beth, you have two hands
sorry.
in Zoom land. You have Michael and Dan. And there's some people on here as well.
Michael, I'm sorry, Michael Pelton?
Michael P.
Michael Pelton, and then Dan.
Can you hear me?
Actually, sorry, it's gonna be Michael Pelton, and somebody that has not gone first yet, Dan, hasn't gone yet, Dan, so it's gonna be Michael Pelton and Bridget Blanchard.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I just think it's important for us to recognize what the parents that have come to the board tonight are saying, but it's also important for us to reflect upon what the populace of the town has also said. The populace of the town has clearly voted for a public school in our town, and I think it's important for us to recognize that our responsibility is to provide education, regardless of where it ends up being in the future, regardless of what the current cost may or may not be. There's lots of different variables that could happen, whether kids are tuitioned in and so forth. I know there's a lot of rhetoric, let's say, out there that suggests that sending kids out might cost less, but we're not taking into account variables in cost to parents. We're not taking into account variables in cost regarding special education. There's
We lost you.
a lot of, think what we really need to do is sort of, I don't want to say brush all of that aside, but really think about what our goal is. Our goal is to provide a local education from a public school within our town, because that's what the voters have decided to do, and focus on that. In order to do that and to move forward, we need to hire our teaching principal, which it sounds like everything's in progress. And according to the last school board meeting, there were 3 applicants for a teacher. So we need to hire the teaching principal so that the teaching principal and the superintendent can work together to hire the teacher in an appropriate amount of time so that they can actually prepare and get ready for the beginning of the school year coming up.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
You have Russ afterwards as well.
I have Bridget Blanchard, I have Dan Corby, and then Bridget.
I'll go on the list after that.
Corby, and then Russ.
And then you can put me on the list too. I have my hand up.
I can't see, oh, Meredith, yep. I should really keep track of this.
Oh, there is also a $50,000 surplus that could be used for busing if we need to use that for kids to be bused to different schools. But also, as far as the town vote for tuition or for the budget vote, I think it was only within 20 votes. I don't think it was an overwhelming majority of votes. But Michael probably knows more. Abby probably knows more about the number.
I think it was 29.
It was 29 votes. That's not a landslide of votes. That's all.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact number. All right, next, I think I had Dan Corby.
Thanks, Beth. I just kind of want to echo a little bit of what Bridget Blanchard just said right there. You know, in regards to passing a budget, I believe there are parents that voted in favor of a budget because that budget still impacts our kids, regardless of what was to happen with a vote or all of these other things that people keep bringing up. So again, I may have voted yes in favor of a budget, but I still have a voice in what I want my kids to get for an education. So to Michael's point of we need to do the right things, we do. And one of those right things can be using the budget that people set aside to educate our kids. Right now, there is no education coming for the beginning of 2023 for any kids at Windham Elementary School. There isn't a staff. So I'm asking for a cutoff date as to when you're going to commit to having contracts signed and building forward of what we're going to launch for a school year. Thanks.
Thank you. Bridget Corby.
So very similar statement. I think that referencing the town passing the budget is really misleading. We had different information back then. I think we had hopes that we would be in a different position at that point. And I also think the town was showing up to support the kids' education. There were questions about the ability to hire and things like that. So That was a different world. We're here today. We don't have a staff. That's what we need to be focusing on. It's the town needs to educate our kids, and we don't have that right now. And I don't really know how to express that any differently, but I don't think we can keep referencing the fact that the town supported the budget. If we wanted to know what the town wanted to do, we could put it to a vote, but that was rejected. So I'm not saying that that's what you have to do, but we can't quote the town. I don't think we really know what the town wants today. I know that a lot of parents want an education for their kids, and right now no one can commit that to me.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
I just want to add a comment. Obviously, I'm new to the whole thing. You guys have been going through tumult here for some time around a bunch of different things in this town. Short of a small earlier event, you guys are all conducting yourselves really well tonight. Like you're having great conversation. People are being civil. No one's crying. Like, I just want to say, like, this is good. You're having good civil conversation. I just want to praise you for that and continue to do that. So I think this is helpful. And it's important for the town, regardless of where we end up, for you guys to be able to heal as a community at some point. We have to be able to share how we feel about things in a way that isn't personal, in a way that we're listening, and in a way that we're appreciating other people's perspectives, because everybody has a much different perspective. And that's the magic of how we get along, is to be able to acknowledge those and move forward. So I just wanted to put that there. You're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Thank you. Thanks. I had Russ coming up next.
I think one in the back as well, I think. Yep.
Oh, Meredith, sorry. Yeah, I had Russ and then Meredith.
In reference to what Michael said, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
In reference to what Michael said, less than 20% of the registered voters in the town of Windham voted on the school budget this last town meeting. And when we've had two previous elections, more than 50% of the residents of the voters of Windham didn't have the same opinion. So I think that you have to take what Michael's saying with a grain of salt. There are a lot of people in Windham who do not agree with Michael, and they do not agree with his point of view. And I might be one of them. But my focus primarily is on providing the best education for the children of Windham at the most reasonable cost. And Bob Tebow's suggestion of just taking suspension for a year's period of time and looking for candidates in the spring of next year and tuitioning the kids out to local schools seems to make the most sense, because the kids would get a good education. In the meantime, all this disagreement and other stuff could be sorted out. And I think there are a number of red flags that have been raised with the process that's going through currently. And I think we need to step back and we need to look and see, is this what is best for the children of Windham, as opposed to it's what's best for the school building? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Russ. I have Meredith McLean and then Sarah Edelman.
I just, sort of to go off what the Corbys said, I think maybe picking the school budget is not perhaps the best metric for measuring town support of the school. And I think the fact that we had two back-to-back referenda, the first of which people voted to close the school, and the second of which was only won by voter fraud to keep the school open, like, I don't know that I'd really be bringing up what the voters said as like a point to defend at this. Like, I don't feel like that's really in your, I don't know, if I were in your position, that's not really the thing I'd be leaning on is the fact. Like, that's, I don't even know if I can say that so that it makes sense, but like, yeah, anyway.
Great, Sarah Edelman.
I just have a quick question. If it is decided that the school is not being used to teach for the next upcoming school year, is the building still able to be used for activities or events or other fun things that could benefit and enrich the kids?
That's a great question and something that we should probably add to the next agenda, that discussion. I certainly don't have the answer to that.
That was a good question.
So, but yeah, we could certainly add that to the next agenda.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else?
Nobody in Zoom.
Okay. Hearing none, then. Are we ready to call the question then?
Yes.
Well, you made a motion, so.
All right, so
All those in favor?
yeah. So all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
What was the motion?
To continue with the negotiations. And then now, I believe, can we discuss, you were talking about the hiring of the board member, the timeline, those things.
So you have two other new business items for policies. If you want to do those first and come back to the special meeting, or do you want to do the special meeting first?
No, let's just get, I just don't want people to be waiting, so, yes,
We can do the special meeting first.
All right, great.
So for a special meeting, you need, I believe it's 24 hours to warn, so it's not, it's really a timeline perspective that's gonna screw us up. It's gonna be more about availability. Beth, you won't need to, we don't need to work with your schedule, I guess, unfortunately. So really it comes down to Abby and Rory, and what is the pleasure of the board. So if you're asking me what I think, I mean, which you didn't, I'm just jumping in.
No, please do.
You know, you have monthly meetings, so you have a meeting, this is the regular one today, so you don't have another one for another month.
We've had multiple meetings, yeah. no,
Special
this
ones,
is-
right.
Yes.
So
yeah.
we don't want to wait a month, I think we can all agree that that's way too long.
Yep.
I would say that, hold on, I'll get somebody in, that if you're talking about the update on hiring, what you're talking about is a contract with a teacher principal, signed and ready to roll. You're talking about some level of understanding of where the second staff member, the teacher's hiring process is, and you're talking about a support staff or a administrative assistant position as well. So that's what we're talking about. So just to give you guys the update, the candidates that were talked about before for the teaching position had, when I tried to set up interviews, had all been taken other positions. So we have reposted that so it moves to the top of the list to get a fresh start on that. And so we will, once we know that we have a principal signed on, I think we would perhaps be more aggressive in how we get that out there rather than just relying on School Spring. The link has been shared with the board members to be shared out, but it's also on a deed. So we could, you guys could share it with the community and get it blasted out through other social media as well. But to that end, I mean, somewhere between a week or 2 weeks, I think would be, I don't think we want to go beyond 2 weeks at this point.
Yeah.
So somewhere in that 1 to 2 week range, 10 days, I mean, that.
Probably,
Yeah.
I would say 2 weeks is too long, but that's my opinion.
So if you're talking a week away.
I think we should at least, we should know by then.
So, I mean, you can set one for Tuesday the 25th if you want to continue to do Tuesdays. I'm with the principals at Leadership Retreat, so I will be zooming in for that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm in Houston. I have a window between 6 and 8:30.
Our time, I assume.
So an hour behind. So maybe an hour. I could Monday would be better for me if we could do Monday, but I would be Zoom. I wouldn't be able to be in person until Thursday.
I don't leave until Tuesday morning, so Monday I could be in person as well.
I can't be in person Monday, but I can attend Zoom on Monday.
You could, okay. Abby?
It would have to be after 6.
That would be next Monday or 2 Mondays from now. What Monday are we talking?
24th is what Rory's talking about.
we're on the same page with that, or?
So this coming
Okay.
Monday,
So,
To have the next special meeting,
yeah,
I don't know if I will be available that Monday.
if we only have 2 board members, we need both of them there to have a quorum. So,
Is there something later in the week? Next week?
I mean, yeah. I just feel it.
yeah, but well,
for me, it would have to be Monday or Tuesday, or possibly Thursday. Wednesday, I cannot do it. But any of the other 3 days, for me, would be fine.
How does this work going forward with only 2 school board members?
We didn't touch on that yet, did
Yeah, we
we?
haven't talked about that.
we're gonna
Good
touch
question.
on that new business.
Got it.
Thanks, Sarah.
So Abby, give us a date that does work for you.
If you said next Thursday, that would be a better option for me.
Thursday the 27th.
And
Does that work?
that's correct.
I mean, I could do Thursday. But, yeah, and I should be able to be here in person, actually. I'll try. I fly in Wednesday
I will also
night,
do
and
that.
but I fly into.
Since this is a special meeting, can we make it Zoom only? So, I mean, we're jambling schedules here to make things happen. Is that a reasonable request to make?
There was a change in the law. I guess I'd have to look that up. I know there was a change in the law with Zoom only. I don't know if Beth, you know.
I've only from what I read from the select board. Let me see.
Yeah, I know there was a change. Maybe someone else knows about what the law is, but there wasn't, during COVID, you were allowed to do Zoom only. And then something changed. I just don't know exactly what the change was. So, 'cause I wasn't in my current job at the time. I wasn't paying attention. But I could look into that too, because we have, you have to just do 24 hours warning. So we don't have to know that right now. I can find out that answer and get back in touch.
Not to get in the middle of everything, but on the select board, we're currently meeting with Zoom only. And per the open meeting laws, we're allowed to do that. I'm assuming that the school board falls under that same criterion, but I could be wrong.
Is that, you just have to warn it that way, correct?
Yeah, courts.
Correct. That is correct.
You
Yeah.
do, yeah, because to be honest with you, remember the last meeting, it was actually only posted as Zoom only. I just
Right.
showed up.
So what I'm hearing Abby and Roy both say is that Zoom is gonna be your only option. Or you might be
I might be
make
able to
it.
attend in person on Thursday.
So, but Abby, you're saying Zoom would be only for you?
That is correct.
All right, so let me, I mean, worst case scenario, I can come up and just open it, and if you can make it, you can make it, we can do a hybrid again. That's the worst case scenario,
And this is for Thursday.
Thursday.
But if
Is that going to be sufficient time to sign a contract and potentially have any interviews, or would it be smarter to set the date slightly further out? I mean, assuming the public wants to have some assurance regarding the stability of the school and contracts and teachers and so forth, I think from my personal opinion, like a week, including a weekend, is like a very small period of time. Not sure that the superintendent and the potential principal are going to have time to conduct interviews with any potential applicants rather. So I think it would be nice if the board could push the date to a more comfortable level, slightly further out, not a lot, but so that the principal and the superintendent could at least come back to the board with a plan and some potential hires.
Beth, you have a hand up here and you have Dan on Zoom. Pick your Corby.
Go ahead, Bridget.
I just want to point out that we left uncomfortable back in April and we don't have the luxury of time. So I get Michael's point, but that is the situation that we're in. So if we have to wait anymore, we can't sit here and say we need to give the applicants more time. Our kids need urgency.
And I guess I would say that the 27th is the first day of school is the 30th. So you're, let's call it a month out from school opening. I hear what you're saying, Michael, but I worry about it being much later than that to have that conversation.
I do too.
I hear you, but like 5 days, you really think it's possible to come to an agreement with the
Sense of
potential
urgency.
tenant and then like have some interviews? That seems awful short.
I can't.
So you got Dan with a hand still, just so you know. Yeah.
All right, hold on, Michael. Dan Corby. I don't know if there's somebody else here.
Thanks, Beth. Bob, I just wanted, if you could clarify something for me. Michael said earlier that there were 4 more teaching candidates, so he'd hire the principal and then we could get on board of hiring the teacher after that. You just said none of those candidates are still available and the candidate pool for the other teaching position is currently 0, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else in the room? Okay. I think we need to. Well, I shouldn't. You guys should.
Well, what I have right now is direction to set a special meeting for Thursday the 27th, possibly hybrid, possibly Zoom only. Well, connect with Rory on her travel arrangements as we get closer, but we don't have to do it technically until the day before, so we have time to kind of see where it is, but that's the time it sounds like we're committed to. Unless the board wants to direct me differently, that's what I'm hearing.
That works for me.
Okay. All right, so we're set on that, so then.
And while you're at it, who's going to, because it's not even me posting it.
Right, so let me talk about the process. Now's probably just as good time as I to talk about the new board position, right? So as Abby mentioned earlier, she read some qualifications to be a board member in the state of Vermont. I wasn't reading along with her, but those sound to be the accurate results from the VSBA. They're on top of the stuff. Typically what happens in this situation is by statute, the board has 30 days to fill a vacancy. The vacancy is filled until the term expires. Beth's term is expiring in March anyways. So this would be a position that would basically run from whenever the appointment takes place through the election in March. And then if that person chose to stay on, they'd have to rerun. So it's a very, short window, but that's how it works. The board is supposed to fill it within 30 days. Your next regular meeting is within 30 days, but because of everything that's going on, the more people to make a decision of this magnitude is probably better. So the way it works is that the board puts out an alert, if you will, that there's a need for a position. Community members who are qualified submit a letter of interest. Those letters of interest would come to me because if it wasn't the chair who was stepping down, then we'd go to the chair. But in this case, I think it's probably cleaner to come to me. If you want to CC the other board members, you certainly can. But that would come to me, an email is sufficient. At the special meeting, the board would then make a decision to appoint based on the people they have who are also qualified. And at that point, they would reorganize because they don't have a chair. They would take votes to nominate a chair, vice chair, clerk, so on and so forth. And then that board would then start the meeting and proceed. So that's kind of how it would go, I think. But I'm happy to answer any clarifying questions because I'm new to this.
So,
as I pointed out 100 times.
the last time we had someone resign from the board, I don't know if anybody here, probably not, maybe just probably Beth. I believe it was Antia that resigned. But I believe that we had a special election to fill that seat with the town members.
Right, so a board can choose to do that, and that's typically what happens if you don't have interested people and you exceed the 30 days, is how I understand it. I can get clarity on that. I included your town clerk in the communication to the board members about process to make sure I was understanding it correctly, but I also did talk to the attorney first. So I never heard back from her, but my assumption is that maybe happens if they don't fill it or if no one steps up, then you do a special election. And that's a school district meeting for the town to do that process, yeah. So it's a little bit different than a regular board meeting.
I know that there's not a term limit put on it, the amount of years they can serve. Do you know why that is? No, because I think
I
some
don't.
people's passion goes from passion to personal. Like, even the President of the United States can only do it twice.
Right. Yeah, I don't have any idea, to be honest with you. I did 8 years in my town as a board member, and that was plenty for me. Beth,
And I tried to get off, I don't know if you remember, I did get off for a year, and the person that filled the position bailed, and then there was nobody else that stepped up, so, believe me, for $7.50 a year.
Yeah.
Can we move on? Any other discussion about
So
this?
that's what you do. So I
Have a date?
think we will put that out there. You guys would send letters of interest to me, and you can CC the remaining board.
I would like to clarify that, Bob. Please make sure that they are sent to Bob and both Rory and myself, please.
Well, if they,
Thank you.
okay,
Yeah, that's fine.
okay.
Can I ask a qualifying question?
Yes.
So if you get multiple people that are qualified for the position and interested, it's up to the two of you to just pick. That's what we're saying. So it's your choice.
Yep, and because there's 2 of a 3-person board, they have a quorum. It also means they need a unanimous vote to select.
So the next meeting, you're picking the next person, potentially multiple candidates, and deciding the future of our school. Just putting that out there. You don't have to answer that question.
Sure. But I have these printed out if anybody's
Okay.
interested. It's from the Vermont School Board Association.
Okay.
Just little informational pamphlets.
All right, are we good with that? Can we go on to policy?
Yep.
Yeah.
Great, I need a motion to adopt policy F3, fire and emergency preparedness drills.
Motion to adopt F3.
You second it?
Second your motion.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye, motion passes. F4, access control and visitor management. I'll make a motion to accept F4.
I second your motion.
Seconded.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
motion passes. That's it, your next meeting is scheduled. We are adjourning this meeting at 7:52. Sorry?
Are we going to have our tuition requests answered at that special
So, yeah,
meeting?
I mentioned that, maybe you were out of the room earlier, but those were under correspondence, and they have to be warned as action items.
Yeah.
So that, we'll do that during that special meeting.
During that special meeting?
Yep.
Yes, that's the question, yep.
So those letters, an update of hiring, and the board member. Those 3 things would be on that agenda, and anything else that the board wishes, but we can communicate
No.
via email. But I think those would be the 3 primary things for the special meeting.